And then so reorder these a wee bit slightly. Her other design was this one here, which is just much more in line with what she's got on her thumbnail. And again, what I would probably start to suggest is that your eye can't really decide what the main focus of attention should be in this graphic, because the text is all kind of broken up. My eyes are jumping across to, and in this design, as I've seen, the text is kind of all broken up, and your eye can't really focus on any one thing. Also as well, the image here, that it's a cutout, but there's this awkward angle here where it's kind of been chopped off. So placing that in the middle of the page looks a bit strange because it doesn't follow the natural shape of the arm because it's cut off in the photograph. So I'm just going to switch things around. And immediately what I'm going to start doing is, see this job title isn't the most important information on here, so I'm going to reduce it down in size. And it is quite small, but if people don't read it, it's fine. But if they look long enough in the graphic, they'll be able to see it. And I'm also taking it away from the edge of the page a little bit more than it was before. Up here, it's kind of almost going to cut off the edge of the page. And when people are viewing that on their mobile phone, it would feel like it's really kind of cut off. So I'm being mindful of leaving kind of border around the edge and things not being too close. And I'm going to move Sarah across to the left hand side so that we don't have this awkward sharp edge anymore, and it looks like she's kind of popping up from the corner of the page and just looks a bit more in alignment. And again, Sarah's name, although it's important to have on there, isn't the most important piece of information, so we can reduce this down, because if people already follow her, they know who she is, but that information is there for maybe people who are just coming across a page for the first time. So I'm going to reduce that right down like so. And really I want to kind of like figure out what to do with this part here, because the text feels pretty broken and it's like it's attempting to be a design element, but it's not quite working as a design element either. So if we want to make a design element out of mindfulness, what we have to do is make it much more impactful. So I'm going to enlarge right up. I'm going to go into spacing and close up the gaps between the letters so that I can then have the text going over the full length of the page. And in whatever size I've made this and letter spacing, I'm going to apply to Ness as well. So it is 196 in size, so I'm going to match that. And then I'm going to go to -88 or round about there as well. And I'm going to set this underneath and have them slightly overlapping. Might put this one to the front because you see she's got a shadow behind the letters, so it's giving us that nice bit of 3D kind of depth effect with the text. But then I don't want it to sit over the image of Sarah, obviously, so I'm just going to move this text out the way and I'm going to bring her to the front. Now I know that that is covering up the lettering, but that's okay, but because we're more wanting it to be a bit more impactful and a bit different and not just a title on a page. When you play around with the text like this, make it a bit of a feature and make it part of the design, it can look really lovely and stand out. And we can also just play with the thickness of the border she's got here. So if we go back into shadows, I'm just going to make it a little bit thinner so it's not quite as chunky. And I'm going to reduce the size down as well. So you can really kind of play around with where we place this, like so. And I notice like she's got a shadow placed on top of these images. So what I'm going to do is actually drag that across so that it becomes much darker and that text stands out even more from the background because it was a wee bit washed out before and wasn't standing out enough, and contrast is important. So just by bringing that across a little bit is kind of impacted the design quite a lot. And keeping the title as it is, make that all the one line. I don't know why it was separated, well, it wasn't working, so we'll just keep it together. And this time place it much smaller just above the title, because we know it's intro 1, but it's not the most important piece of information here. But I think, again, what's missing is we need a more catchy title for this video to entice people to watch the video. So think about, it's really important when you're on YouTube as well, that the title of your video is optimized for SEO and things. So we need to think of it that way for when advertising it on socials as well. So I've kind of scrolled down to what I've done earlier back in Blue Peter days. And again, I've added the YouTube logo so that immediately somebody who's just scrolling knows, oh, Sarah's got a YouTube channel and she has a new episode out. They might keep scrolling, but come across her video later on. It's enough information for now. But underneath here, what I've also done is put new on YouTube, title of the new episode text here. And that is just so that if somebody is really interested, they'll go on and get the title. So that's the design suggestions I have made for those ones. So if you look at it here, from what was maybe feels like things are just kind of floating in the middle of the graphic and don't really have any placement. Here, by having some things go off the edge and making the text much bolder, you can see how now it like links together and just has a bit more of comprehension about it. And then for this one here, where the text was all kind of floating around and there wasn't any clear hierarchy, we have pulled everything together and still kept the exact same text. We've not changed the text at all, we've just literally changed the position and size of it.